So a couple months ago, I was scrolling in a certain EU4 Discord group where the classic single player versus multiplayer argument was happening. Multiplayer players saying that they could do hard achievements and insane runs if they put the time in, but there's no point, and single players saying it's actually harder than you think and it involves a lot of skill. Both sides were being omega balled and egoing over each other. But then the stakes were raised. It was offered for the first multiplayer player to do a pre-1600 World Conquest with no horde, but you can slack and take loans and have allies, that they would get $2,500. And I immediately jumped on that opportunity and accepted. I had 40 days in real life to complete a pre-1600 World Conquest, never doing a run like this before as a non-horde. The clock was ticking and I had a world to conquer before 1600. So before I even started the run, I started theory crafting some potential nations we could play, such as Austria. You could try to revoke the privileges of the HRE, or even just Bohemia. You just do it's essentially the same thing, except you get some more PUs and then you form Austria and then get even more PUs. Or maybe even Majapahit, where you can follow their mission tree and get a bunch of tributaries and then make them vassals through the mission tree. We could do a Japan shogunate strategy, especially with a nation like Oda, which has province war score costs in its ideas. But ultimately, I decided to settle on a country that I know it is very possible with, and I know people have done it with, which is the Timurids. Part of the rules imposed on us is that we can't become a horde, so a Tibet strat is out of the picture. So we need to either do a strat that incorporates a lot of core cost reduction, or a strat that has a lot of dip annexation and war score cost reduction. So the rules here is we cannot start or become a horde, and then this is not a no balls run. So no balls, I think, what does balls stand for? So the only thing is I need to do a pre-1600 World Conquest, and I need to do it before the beginning of April. So I need to do, and I'm going in here completely blind. Okay, that's the other rule for myself. The other rule is I can't look at how other people have done it. I can't do research. That's another thing. I need to figure it out on myself how to do it. Pre-1600 World Conquest, I need to do it on my own. Going in blind, not looking at Lambda doing it, not looking at Just Blazing do it, not looking do it. Blindfold 2, okay. Okay, where's my headset? I will go off of sound. Okay, where's my troops? Where's my troops? Wait a second. Gotta feel it out, chat. Okay, I'm going in blind. Okay, I think this is impossible, chat. Anyone who says they can do this is probably a liar. Probably. Here's what I'm gonna do. Alright, I'm gonna try immediately getting the Hormuz node. Well, we're first gonna deck on a gem, right? Get our cores. Get our cores on a gem. It's pretty important we do that before our ruler dies. I think our next war, though, is against Hormuz. What you do is you offer Condot, put him on Hormuz Island. Then, once you're on Hormuz Island, you deck on him. You can then consolidate Hormuz node. A good way to make a lot of money early, right? Do lenient taxation. Translocks is disloyal. Pog. These two provinces from here. Release you. I don't want you anymore. Okay. I can rival a Ajam. He wasn't a valid rival. Oh, I guess you can after the tick. And we already got an event. Was he a rival after one? On the 1st of December, it changes. So right away, we found some things that worked and some things that didn't. One thing about this run was that we couldn't get help from other content creators, so I had to all figure it out on my own. But one thing was right that we knew that we had to do, which was that we needed to win the Ajam War fast and with very low casualties and low war exhaustion. Don't get it, please 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 don't get it. Ah! Okay. So how's the opener looking so far? We were getting our opener down. We were trying to always try to keep level 3 advisors minimum, at least in the beginning, so we could get stability events since we didn't want to spend admin on stabilizing. And instead of doing the Liberty Desire, I started doing the core cost reduction because you can actually bring the Liberty Desire down to all of your vassals without having to use the Liberty Desire, and the core cost reduction is better since we are going to be eating land after Ajam. We're going to be non-stop eating land till the end of the game. We also started learning how to play the first war against Ajam a lot better. Depending on your RNG, Ajam could get many different allies, and it could be really tough if he gets some allies like, for example, Nogai. The key though is to avoid his army, keep our army together so he doesn't engage our army while sieging him down. You can see I didn't follow that rule and I end up losing a stack here, requiring another restart. Okay, Ally Jampur. Royal Mary, can't, okay. Group relations, build spy network on this guy. Free siege from this. 57%, get the siege please. Be afraid of me, please just back off. I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight you. Okay, the vassals are up here fighting Nogai meanwhile. Okay, run here. Oh my god, they're gonna go for the fort. Oh. That's actually decent. -1 for us. Yeah, -1 for us. Get it? 57%. Okay. They backed off. The key here was to just not actually engage Ajam unless it's really favorable for us, and instead just scare him off while sieging him down. The AI will kind of bug out and move between farce and trying to unsiege himself, and in that time we need to use that time to basically get enough war score to fully peace out Ajam. We need 100% on Ajam. Okay, we need to get the war goal again. That also meant that we needed to peace out Ajam's allies, either with white peace or for money. In this case, it was Shirvan and Nogai. So they're peaced out. We're able to peace out Ajam for 100% peace deal. We want to release Ardalan as well as fully annex Ajam. So this is actually quite a difficult thing to do because you need to basically stay paused and then put in the peace deal to release Ardalan and then do a full annexation of Ajam. Okay. Released Ardalan. Still, this guy hasn't died. Okay, this is incredibly lucky. 70-year-old Shah. Immediately, we're going to go into our next war, which is against QQ. We're going to need to basically snake out his northern forts. That's the main objective, as well as getting provinces to release Syria and Iraq. As the same thing with the Ajam War, we want to avoid as much conflict or direct battles as much as possible, as that will give us more war exhaustion, and also it will reduce our manpower significantly. QQ in this case had a pretty scary general that we tried to avoid and basically scare him from engaging a battle by keeping our stacks near one another while sieging his allies. We have 301. It's okay, we will get the Noiqta child for the regency. We'll go for the uncle event. He'll be good, trust. Our uncle's gonna take control. He's 2 years old. Come on, uncle of a 2-year-old, 3-year-old. Just look at the baby and be like, man, I'd rather rule. We can diplo-vassalize Syria. And then we can seize Kazania to release Iraq. If we just release them day 1, we will have we won't be able to integrate these bad boys. And I want to integrate on Tech 5. I'm going to take Tech and then integrate. I'm going to take this mount. Oh, it's not a mountain battle, dude. Now the peace deal with QQ is over. We need to now shift our focus to the other side of the map, to Hormuz and to India. In this game, I was kind of waiting for a event to get with the Iqta government, which would allow uncle to take over when you have too young of a child ruling and you have a regency. However, that event was not firing, and since we were on a really bad stats, we decided to restart the run again. This time, do a Jamor. Disinherit heir, so we're gonna have to roll a random heir. Hopefully he's good. We can make Ottomans our ally join this war. I want them to finish this siege though, because then they'll take that province. But while they're doing that siege, we'll rush here. Do that, and then Actually, go for Tabriz first. You guys go for this province. It's okay, we don't need Uncle, because we got a 3-3-6! Oh, wait, that's save, that's a save, that's a save. He just takes the throne immediately. He has low legitimacy. We're gonna get a lot of rebels here. Let's quickly just go around killing rebels. Okay, progress continues. Okay, next, I'm gonna do Hormuz. I'm such a nice guy, giving Hormuz free condottieri. Okay, now I'm gonna deck on Hormuz. There we go. Stack wiped on their island. And like that, we were able to finish Hormuz and annex them. The challenge now is to integrate our vassals as well as getting Renaissance. Since we are in the Persia region, we don't grow Renaissance naturally, which means that we're going to have to develop it. And we're going to have to use some tricks in order to develop it efficiently. It's now almost time to integrate vassals. 6 more months. I'd like one of you to fire, please. That's been the unluckiest part of my run, is that I'm not getting the advisor event, so I'm just sitting on -1 stab. I'm very tempted to boost stab, but I feel like the moment I boost stab, they're gonna fire. The advisor events are gonna fire. In order to dev Renaissance efficiently, there is a couple things that we could do, like pop the dev cost mission and go Golden Era and upgrade Herat's level trade center to level 3. The next thing we were going to do is a little bit of a tricky thing that required a balance of religion. So in order to do this, you actually need to have Shia and Sunni to be at 50% of each other. Basically, you know, they don't need to be 50% of your nation, because you'll have some Zoroastrian, Vajrayana, Coptic, whatever. You need to just have them 50% equal to each other. So 40% and 40%, for example. You switch to the Shia faith, basically using a rebel. So since you're at 50-50, you can switch with just accepting the demands of a rebel. The next part would be then you switch to Sunni back. However, in this game, I messed up and I didn't have that perfect 50-50. So the solution I found was to integrate my subjects first. Okay, then we do Malaki school. Then we go into here. We pick Malaki. Then we do Malaki here. Okay, great. Make this guy my vassal. And because of all of the tricks that we did, we were able to continue deving for a very cheap price. We only deved on our capital here on Herat for the most bonuses we could do. In this scenario, we were ahead on Miltech, so we used most of our military points for deving. Then we used a little bit of Diplo and no admin. And that was enough to get Renaissance in our capital and enough to get it all over our nation. Next step is to sell it to Ottomans so we can make more money here, because right now we're starting to lose a lot of money. But if we keep scaling and we keep expanding properly and keep getting the right trade, we can outscale this debt. Now it was time for our next set of wars. We need to piece out this war first, then Uzbek war, then Delhi. I really don't think this is the run, but I've learned so much from this run. This is a good run to just learning. At any point, I'm just going to 1444, because I know this isn't the run. Like, I'm supposed to have, like, all of this conquered already, have this conquered, have this conquered, have this conquered. Dude, I'm just behind, man. Today is doing a pre-1600 World Conquest. You need to execute properly. Do all of this crazy shenanigans. Execute mission, Copenhagen. So we're doing QQ again, giving him Iraq. We're going to this guy so we can take this one province, so we can have on both province on 2 continents. We should have done that way earlier. And we just let the Ottoman and Mamluks 1v1 while we do our other wars. While we finish our other wars. Here you go. Go Ottomans, I believe in you. 1v1 the Mamluks. They both don't have manpower. This is gonna be a great war. Great war. Great. So now we letting the Ottomans 1v1 Mamluks for us while we fight over here. The Mamluks are fighting in Syria, fighting valiantly in Syria. Meanwhile, in their what? Where are you guys going? They're just taking turns killing my rebels right now. First was Mamluks, and then it's Ottomans. They're coming all the way over here to kill rebels. After the war with the Mamluks, we grew quite significantly, but I still felt that we needed to go a little bit faster and execute a little bit better in order to do this run. If we were trying to do this, we need to do it better. So we started from 1444 once again. This time, because we decided not to give land to Afghanistan, but instead to ourselves in the beginning, we were able to click the Mughals mission tree a lot earlier while still being able to click many of the Timurid missions. Thank you, Ottomans. Okay, one more year. Georgia and this guy. This time, we were ahead of our last run by about 4 years. Because we were able to form Mughals a lot faster, that gave us access to the Mughals' traditions as well as the Mughal Diwan system immediately. Since we were able to do that, we were able to expand into India a lot easier. We also were able to remove Jaunpur as a ally through Multan, then white piece him, then snake through him to get a border with Bengal, and also we were able to attack Chagatai. One bad thing about this run was that Chagatai ate land from Uzbek, which meant that we had to conquer Chagatai twice instead of just doing one war against Chagatai, fully annexing him and getting his Yarkand vassal. Okay. White piece Jaunpur. You're in the next war cycle, buddy. 1482. Surely! Gonna take a lot of aggressive expansion here, so it's very important, very important that we have truces with everyone in India. That's why we need to attack Vijayanagar next, and then Bahman is as soon as truce is up. January. Death to Chagatai! Even though this run was going a lot better and we were expanding very fast, we had a big threat in the Ottomans. Despite us blocking them using a Syrian vassal and Iraq vassal from going into the Middle East, they were winning and expanding into the Balkans. This was a concern because having strong and heavy opponents means that we need to spend a lot of time fighting those opponents. And if Ottomans get too strong, we will have to spend so many resources just to win our first war against them. The other issue we had was Ming was starting to not like us, and they were not exploding, so that meant that they were starting to ally nations like Bengal. In 1487, we had our first war against the Ottomans. However, while we were doing the war with the Ottomans, we needed to keep fighting people in India in order to avoid coalitions. It was actually after this run that I learned a really cool trick that I will be sharing very soon. Since I was unable to commit all my resources in fighting the Ottomans, I only took a small peace deal against them when I was able to do so. Next. Delhi. They're in weird alliances I don't like, but whatever. And again, although we were expanding quite fast, I felt like we could be executing this a lot better. The Ottomans were still a huge problem for me. Even though they were less dev than me, they had so many troops, and fighting them was such a hassle and such a big time commitment, making me realize that we need to deal with the Ottoman threat earlier than we did in this run, leading me to restart once again 1444. That specific run will be in the next upcoming YouTube video for this series and will be the final part most likely. Maybe I'll split it into 2 parts. Depends on how detailed you guys want it to be. Of course, this entire run was on my Twitch. I streamed it from the beginning, all of the runs, all the failed attempts on my Twitch, twitch.tv/absolutehabibi. You can check me out there. You can also support me there, or you can support me on here by subscribing, giving this a like, and commenting down below. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video coming very soon.